There's nothing that says anything on here about going to. That one sits down. Good evening. The time is 5:33 p.m. and I'm calling this meeting to order. In accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code Chapter 551, this meeting is officially open with a quorum present. We are very fortunate tonight to have our students from Ridgely Hills Elementary who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. In just a moment, Principal Cotton will introduce them, but first, let's please stand for the pledges. This is so cool.
I pledge allegiance. Say it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
You are the first people that have ever done this. This is so cool. Everybody. I gotta. This is cool.
That is good.
This is the coolest. Look. And I will get one. Thanks, dude. That's awesome. And that is what Fort Worth ISD is about, and they will be our leaders in about 25 years. Give them a round of applause. Principal Cotton, thank you for being here. Thank you for bringing outstanding students.
Thank you, President Jackson, Dr. Scribner, and members of the board. It is an honor to be here on tonight. I am so proud of our student leadership team with our student council from Ridgely Hills. I always say we are the best kept secret in Fort Worth ISD, so don't tell anyone. I currently would like to introduce our student council sponsor, Miss Lori Blakely, and our parents. Will you all please stand tonight? I just want to say thank you for all that you do. Thank you for giving us an opportunity to serve, and I truly appreciate us being here on tonight. Thank you.
Ridgely Hills is no longer a secret, Principal Cotton. Clint Bond from the Communications Department will introduce the next recognition.
Thank you, President Jackson. This evening we are recognizing and honoring a parent volunteer from the Western Hills High School Athletic Booster Club. David Hightower is seated right behind me. He'll stand in just a moment. Mr. Hightower has been an extremely active member of the Western Hills family for over 9 years. As current president of the Athletic Booster Club, his board, though small, has a determination second to none. Under his leadership, his team consistently proves that it is not about quantity, but the quality of parent support that counts. His willingness to go above and beyond the call of duty to assist campus staff and students is unparalleled. His support includes stocking campus concession stands and making sure they are staffed for athletic events both weekdays and weekends, and for which he desperately wants to leave here because there's 2 games going on right now. Arriving at the athletic buildings almost every weekday around 6:30 a.m. to ensure the coaches have what they need for the day and the week, and his general pride and advocacy is for all things Western Hills High School. He is someone who never turns away a request to help fill in the gaps. Whether it's supporting parent engagement at a donut drive-through or selling T-shirts to students at lunch to help boost a school spirit and raise money for athletic programs, he is found on the Western Hills campus every week. When asked to sum up what Mr. Hightower means to the campus, Coach Suzette Pritchett, the girls' athletic coordinator, said, "Mr. Hightower has always been available to coaches, athletes, and principals for various needs of the students of Western Hills. He works with business leaders in the area, fostering positive relationships for the betterment of the school and the business." We are honored as Family Communications Specialist Richard Johnson presents David Hightower of Western Hills High School with a certificate of appreciation for family engagement. I skipped over the introducing the greeters that we had this evening, so I'll catch up on that now. Our greeters were from the Army JROTC unit at Dunbar High School, where Oscar Adams is the principal, and present this evening, if they would stand as I call their names, Cadet Captain Seda Medina, Cadet Captain Jocelyn Martinez, Cadet Command Sergeant Major Gabriel Valdez, and Cadet Sergeant Major Luz Morales. And Chief Warrant Officer 4 Lynn Taylor is the officer in charge of that program, and of course Lieutenant Colonel Rich Crossley is the director of JROTC. Next, President Jackson, with your permission, Trustee Anael Luebanos has a recognition.
Thank you, President Jackson, colleagues, Dr. Scribner. The National Hispanic Institute has partnered up for the last 3 years with the school district, and this organization has grown from serving 20 freshman students to now, in 3 years, close to 100 high school students across 8 high schools. And they have students from different campuses, and this summer the students went to programs in Colorado, Illinois, California, Philadelphia, Florida, and Texas. This is an organization that helps students to find their voice. They are building the next generation of leaders for our community. Luis Tijerina, who is here today with NSI, was a participant as a student in this organization and now has come back to lead the forward chapter of NSI. And his overriding message to these kids is to take their reins of leadership and to take responsibility of for their own future. So I want to thank NSI for all they have done for our community in the last 3 years, growing the program from 20 students to close to 100 students. Thank you.
Thank you.
President Jackson, Dr. Scribner, members of the board, I just wanted to come in and thank you all for believing in a 25-year-old when I came in 3 years ago. And we started this Leadership Academy, and it was a 10-year vision. And this year, being our 4th year, we have our first set of seniors this year. And I'm happy to say that two of our seniors are National Hispanic Merit Scholars and will be representing the school district this year. And this year we had 50 freshmen. And so what we do is we help the kids train them in their soft skills and being able to transfer thought to word, being able to navigate different social systems, and we work with them throughout the year. And we give them a community organization, not that's being run by adults, but that's being run by them. They're the ones that have created the structures, and this year we had 56 come back to become staff members. And so I'd like to just kind of highlight some of the things that we're going to be doing to grow our organization. We're looking to increase our numbers to 250 throughout the county. We're really working to do a lot more community work so that these young individuals will be practicing community leadership. And we also are looking to open up an 8th grade program so that students can learn creative writing and can dive deep into heroes and heroines of their community and making the freshmen and sophomores, juniors, and seniors be the ones leading them. And so what I'd like to do, I don't want to take up the time, I'd like to invite 3 of our sophomores that came up to participate. Jennifer from South Hills High School, Rodrigo from Southwest, and Lisbeth from YWLA to kind of share a little bit about their experience with you all.
The National Hispanic Institute has given me many things, but the most important thing they've given me is a place where I know I belong. Hello, my name is Jennifer Delgadillo, and I am a member of NHI. I always thought that after the great debate, that was it. I always thought that NHI was just a one-time thing, like one time in the summer, and that would be it. I felt like I didn't belong like anyone else did, like my colleagues right now. As you can see, that did not happen. Here I am now, not only as a staff member, but as a part of the NHI Fort Worth family. I'm proud to say that NHI is and will always be my second family. They inspire me to become a better person and a leader of our community. The people I've met and the bonds that I've made have just been unbelievable. I never would have thought I'd make friends from all over the district and all over the Fort Worth region. NHI has made me feel like I belong, and I don't plan on going anywhere else but here. Thank you.
If someone I knew would have asked me a year ago to stand up against my district and talk, I would have fled the country, all to get out of public speaking. Hello, my name is Lisbeth Arroyo, and I am a proud member of the National Hispanic Institute. I wanted to speak about the impact that NHI has had on my life. I went to the Great Debate, a strenuous competition that lasted 4 days. I will say I have never been tested and gone through that emotional and physical strain as I did in competition. But it helped me learn, and it helped me grow. It helped me realize that I have a voice that sometimes needs to be challenged, that needs to be put to the test, but most importantly, needs to be heard. After the Great Debate, I would go on to become staff. I'm part of the community development sector of NHI. It's a different aspect than school. In NHI, we learn that it's not so much of sit down, raise your hand, speak when the teacher tells you. It's more sit down, raise your hand. If you have a voice and you want to say something, make it heard before someone else says something. It's more of a learn how to use your voice, learn how to speak what you want to say and what your message is. Another thing I have found in NHI is a second family. Outside of school, outside of Young Women's Leadership Academy, and outside of my family, I found a home. I have met different people from different areas who haven't exactly had the same school experience, family experience, or cultural experiences as me. But we all bond on one thing, and that is that we want to make sure that NHI keeps growing and make sure that other students, such as freshmen and 8th graders, have the same opportunities as us. Thank you.
Is this thing on? All right. Well, first of all, I appreciate you all taking the time out of your day to listen to me. And second of all, I recently had a concussion, so if I'm a little slurish in my speech, forgive me. But hi, my name is Rodrigo Rodriguez, and I am part of the National Hispanic Institute. Thanks to y'all, you guys have given them the funding to take me to competitions such as the Great Debate. The Great Debate was an amazing experience for me, mostly because I think that it really changed my life and perspective on what I do. Thanks to it, I've broken out of my shell. I was able to talk in front of one of the biggest crowds that I've ever had the opportunity to, and overall it's made me a better person, not only in the aspect of I can do my research and make a point when I'm speaking, but overall, I can now hold this conversation with y'all. So I appreciate you guys for being able to help me and NHI in what we do. So thank you.
Thank you. On Friday, October 12th, hundreds of Fort Worth ISD girls and many other citizens in Tarrant County participated in the Day of the Girls celebration and celebrated the Girls' Bill of Rights. Participants were from Dunbar High School, Diamond Hill High School, Northside, Eastern Hills, Young Women's Leadership Academy, and T.A. Sims Elementary. Girls were speakers at the event, national anthem soloists, T-shirt designers, T-shirt designer was from Eastern Hills High School, and most importantly, advocates who advocated for the rights of girls and women in our community and in this country. I would like to ask Fort Worth ISD employee and Crowley ISD trustee Mia Hall to come forward. She is the president of Girls Inc. Board, and she will read the resolution, which we will vote on later in the evening.
Good evening, President Jackson, Dr. Scribner, and Board. It is my esteemed pleasure to read the resolution this evening. Whereas in 2011, the United Nations declared October 11th as the International Day of the Girl Child to raise awareness about all issues concerning gender inequality around the world. And whereas Girls Inc. is dedicated to addressing issues in Tarrant County that will not only improve the lives of girls, but that will bring positive change to the community. And whereas the Day of the Girl is a response to an urgent problem facing our world today, the neglect and devaluation of girls around the world. The Day of the Girl celebration helps to highlight, discuss, celebrate, and ultimately advance girls' lives and opportunities across the globe. And whereas Fort Worth ISD is proud to join the City of Fort Worth and Girls Inc. of Tarrant County in recognizing Day of the Girl and to show our appreciation to all women in Fort Worth for their contributions that help make our city the great place that it is today. Now it be resolved that the Fort Worth Independent School District Board of Trustees does hereby recognize and honor October 12, 2018 as Day of the Girl. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hall. Our final recognition this evening is from a group that we all know well, Blue Zones. And here to tell us about it is Matt Dufresne, the Vice President and Market Executive for the Blue Zones Project.
Well, thank you, President Jackson, Superintendent Scribner, and Board. I am Matt Dufresne, the local executive for Blue Zones Project, and we're thrilled to be here tonight. And on behalf of our many partners, including you, Fort Worth ISD, the City of Fort Worth, the Fort Worth Chamber of Commerce, and our lead sponsor, Texas Health Resources, we just thank you for your support. We now have 34 Blue Zones approved schools in Fort Worth ISD. As a matter of fact, we were at Rufina Mendoza Elementary School this morning for a walking school bus, so what a way to start the day with walking and celebrating this fantastic school. But our community is transforming and becoming healthier. According to the latest Gallup Share Care survey, which we conduct in Fort Worth, our well-being and score for Fort Worth is now 3.7 points higher than when we began, and our score is now higher than the national score. That truly is something to be proud of. Our ranking with other major metropolitan areas has increased from 185th to now 58th, so from near the bottom to now almost the top quartile. Our residents are exercising more. They're eating more fruits and vegetables. Our residents and your teachers, your staff, and your students are becoming healthier as well. And you, Fort Worth ISD, are now the largest school district in the country that is also an approved work site. So at Blue Zones Project, we ring bells, which I think you have all gotten one, to celebrate successes. We have rung bells now at 34 Fort Worth ISD schools, and tonight you get to do the same. So Dr. Scribner, President Jackson, will you join me to ring bells down in front of the dais?
You know, we're a little lean tonight. You guys all want to go out?
Sure.
You don't have to bring that one.
How about we all come out? There's not very many.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Blue Zones Project and all of our partners, we say congratulations to Fort Worth ISD on becoming our newest approved work site. So here's our certificate, and on the count of 3, will you all help me by ringing the bells? Sure. 1, 2, and 3.
What do you think? Those were pretty awesome recognitions today. Thank you all for being here and enjoying them. This will conclude our scheduled recognitions, but some of you hang around and let's take some pictures. We'll take a short recess so you all can depart if you choose. And as trustee Needham makes her way back, we will go ahead and start with number 4 on our agenda, reports and presentations, public-private partnerships, or P3s. Dr. Scribner, would you like to say a few words before we hand it off to Ms. Shiro?
Yes, thank you very much, President Jackson, members of the board, and the Fort Worth school community. Tonight is a very exciting evening in terms of establishing the path forward with regard to Fort Worth ISD. So what does it mean for a public school district to engage in a P3, or a public-private partnership? I want to provide a little bit of context. If we look at it from a 30,000-foot level, the intent is to leverage the district's assets, in our case, property, non-instructional property, so not schools, other buildings, to develop a capital improvement project plan without asking the taxpayers for funding. It might mean selling district land, swapping land, or leasing land to private groups for development, with the understanding that any profit would come back to the district. We would explore a P3 opportunity only if it proves to be a public benefit for both Fort Worth ISD and the Fort Worth community at large. Tonight's action is non-binding. This is a multi-step process that analyzes these property holdings that we have as a district as a possible source of funding for supporting new facilities. Tonight, we simply ask the board to authorize the study of our assets, our properties, and determine their potential values and possible plan for development. We'll present these findings when they are collected. We'll present these findings to the board, and if the board determines that it does not make business sense, we won't move forward. But by engaging these experts you're going to hear from in just a moment, our staff will be able to continue to focus on teaching and learning, and these business experts will bring recommendations to this board for your consideration in the coming months and years. The first step in this process, as I said, is to analyze the sources of potential funding for new capital assets. For example, we all know that currently we have an empty building on Magnolia, a professional development center in West Fort Worth, a technology center in East Fort Worth, and central offices and warehouse facilities that are not as economically or operationally efficient as we would like. This is about efficiency, about alignment, reducing the duplication of services without burdening the taxpayer. We look to maximize and create efficiencies through a completely transparent and public process. And at this time, I'd like to turn it over to our Chief Financial Officer, Ms. Elsie Shiro.
And members of the board, I agree with Dr. Scribner. It is an exciting evening tonight. And I do have the pleasure of starting out this presentation on public-private partnerships with a distinguished list of individuals who are going to be assisting me this evening in this presentation, covering the topics outlined on this slide. As Dr. Scribner alluded to, tonight there is an action agenda item that asks the board to allow Dr. Scribner or his designee to negotiate and enter into contracts for legal services, financial advisory services, and real estate development services with a core team of experts to assist the district in determining and to explore, just like as Dr. Scribner said, the possibility of utilizing the usage of P3 for an administrative facilities project. And then to execute a reimbursement resolution to repay the district for P3 out-of-pocket expenses out of the financing of a future qualified project. So, why are we looking into the usage of P3 for these facility projects? Well, number one, the facilities master plan has outlined over $2 billion of repairs and upgrades and improvement to district campuses. Absent voter-approved tax-exempt bonds, there are very limited financial mechanisms for us to finance and pay for capital projects. And you all know, in order to sell tax-exempt bonds, we've got to go to the voters and get their approval. And we have to tell them there's a possibility of a tax rate increase and corresponding increase in their own property taxes. And it is unlikely. I would not recommend that the district would go to the voters and ask them to build or to improve or upgrade administrative facilities. So we have to look for alternative methods to do just that. And so I have to be mindful of our debt management objectives. That is hugely important. And of course, of utmost importance is to maintain our financial stability. We talk about a healthy fund balance of 2.5 to 3 months of operating reserves. And so we cannot use fund balance for capital projects. That's just not an option for us. We have to preserve public trust. We go to the public quite often, ask them for them to approve bonds. And we have to display to them that we're good stewards, and we do what we say we're going to do, just like with the TRE and the bond election. We said no tax rate increase, absolutely none, and we've been able to do that. They have to trust us. We have to minimize the cost to taxpayers. We can't go out every 2, 3, 4 years and ask for a tax rate increase. You know, we have to be mindful of that and ask them when we absolutely need to, and I think we need that for our campuses. And then you always have to remember we have credit rating agencies. They look at us every day. They monitor whether or not we are financially responsible, physically stable. And so we have to do everything we can to ensure that we're looking at all means to finance projects, to resist any impact on our existing debt capacity. So exploring the possibility of a P3 is not a new concept for us. I mean, we go back to 2014 in March where we adopted initial P3 guidelines, and which were amended in July of 2017. And so these guidelines, they provide an avenue for us to explore this possibility. And it is, just like Dr. Scribner said, a step at a time. We're going to take this a step at a time and review and analyze before we go forward to the next step. And so now I have the distinct pleasure of introducing 3 professional service firms recommended to the board this evening to assist us in this project. And so we have the law firm of Greenberg Traurig, the financial advising firm of PFM, and Jones Lang LaSalle Americas, Inc., also known as JLL, who are real estate developers. This is how I would like it to work. I will allow each of these firms to introduce themselves here this evening and any members that they have with their firm, and give you a brief introduction as to what they do and their expertise in P3. These have been selected because they have extensive experience in P3 projects. And so with that said, I will start off with Greenberg and hand it off to you, Kenneth.
Good evening, President Jackson, Dr. Scribner, esteemed trustees. I am Ken Neighbors from the law firm of Greenberg Traurig. While I am in Atlanta, Georgia, I am regularly in Texas, working with Ronald Green, who was a former comptroller of the city of Houston, as well as city council member. We are pleased to be here. We represent 1,800 plus lawyers and professional services providers in 38 markets across the world. That includes Dallas, Houston, and Austin. What we like to say is that we work in a very collaborative manner with your entire team, you as a board, your leadership, the community, and the other professionals assembled to come up with the best design and implementation plan for P3s. We've been entrusted to do the state of Georgia's first P3s for the Georgia Department of Transportation. The Atlanta Beltline is one of our proudest P3 projects. We've done that legislation. It's a 22-mile adaptive reuse project using the old railroad tracks to do equitable development, affordable housing, and public assets, which is transit as well as pathways. We are working with the city of Austin on the MLS Stadium. We led the Georgia World Congress Center Authority on the Mercedes-Benz Stadium and are working on their hotel. We like to call P3s scalable. They're not just managed lane projects. We've done plenty of those. It's not just airports. We've done that in Denver and elsewhere. It is social infrastructure things that make you perform better and our students perform better. And so I'll pass the mic to Ron.
Good evening, President Jackson, Dr. Scribner, and the trustees. As Ken mentioned to you all, I'm at Greenberg-Traurig, and I've been in the Texas office for the last 2 years, and I'm in the Houston office. He also mentioned that I served on the city council and as the controller for a little small city up the road called Houston. And I say all that to say this, is that I've sat on your side of the table when these projects have been instituted and when we manage these and when we finally see them come to fruition. And the experience that I bring to the table is that not only, I've been a lawyer for 22 years, but I served in government for 12 years, and so I've seen it from both sides. And so now that, after being a client of Greenberg-Traurig's, I joined the firm, and I see that we have the expertise to help you get these projects off the ground. And one of the things that we want to make sure that you know is that Greenberg-Traurig, we're a large firm. We've got experience all over the world in doing this, but we are as very Texas as any firm can be. And so we have offices in Houston, Dallas, and in Dallas, Houston, and Austin. I'm sorry, but we are local for you and for your needs. We are attentive to your needs, and so for us, a project such as this is something that is, as Ken said, it's scalable, but it's something that it can be done, and I've seen them come from beginning to the end.
All right, next, we have PFM.
Thank you, President Jackson, Dr. Scribner, and trustees. My name is Bruce Reeder. I'm a director in the Dallas office for PFM. I also service the Houston office as well. PFM is a national independent financial advisory firm. We're the largest and most active firm in the nation, have been so for municipal financings of all sorts since every year since 1998. We've led the way with activity. Also in the P3 space, there's a representative listing of just deals that we've worked on just in the last 5 years. We're very, very active in the P3 space and as well as the municipal finance space. So we approach every engagement with our financial advisory hat on, sitting on the side of our clients as we work through these types of financings and structures. To my right, your left, is Ryan Conway, a director in our P3 practice, and in the audience we also have Dennis Whaley, one of our managing directors and partners, who leads our Texas practice. Did you want to say anything?
Yeah, I'll just first of all thank you, President Jackson and Dr. Scribner, for having us. We're excited for the opportunity to work with y'all. Similar to some of the comments that have been made, I've seen these projects from a number of perspectives. I previously sat on your side of the table and worked for the University of Virginia and ran the capital markets group for them. So I've had experience working on the public side. I've also had experience working for a private developer and implementing public-private partnerships, and now focus on advising municipalities and public bodies such as yourselves across the country and looking at these. So thank you once again for the opportunity.
And finally, JLL.
Yes, my name is George Curry. I'm here in Fort Worth, right up the road in downtown. I've been commercial real estate, or JLL is the second largest global commercial real estate firm in the world. My colleague Todd Burnett and I have been in Fort Worth for upwards of 20 years. Actually, he's been probably more like 30 years. We do this all day long. This is what we do each and every day, and I'll just throw out 3 names of groups we've worked with here locally. We've worked with Tarrant County College, Tarrant County itself, and then Region 11. We've done all of their real estate for the past several years. So we've got a lot of local ties, and like I said, we do this each and every day. So with that, I'll turn it over to Lindsay.
Hi, my name is Lindsay Stoll. I'm also with JLL. I'm based in Chicago. My role is really as a P3 kind of national expert. I've got a lot of experience doing work only for public sector side, for cities, for states, for countries. I've done some international P3 work as well. And so we'll be teaming up with the local folks here in Fort Worth to bring the best possible solution to the district. We also have several folks in the audience as well that joined us today, both local and from Chicago as well.
All right, then as we continue, we're going to be looking at a project overview, and I'll turn this over to JLL at this point.
Yeah, you bet. So one of the components that we'll be focused on is analyzing several of the properties that you guys currently own. What we're going to do is take a look, if approved, we'll take a look at these assets and figure out what their highest and best use is. We'll also put together a valuation for these assets and bring that back to the table, so we'll know what you guys have to work with moving forward. So it's a top-to-bottom analysis of these assets that you guys have to see what's going to be their best use moving forward, whether they're going to be good for you guys or maybe it could be utilized for this P3 partnership.
Question of the day, what is a P3? To boil it down, I said it before, it's very scalable. A P3, at the end of the day, if you all determine to move forward, would result in a contractual arrangement with a private sector partner. So it's the public pairing with the private sector to really affect what we call the accelerated or advanced delivery of a specific project. And that has many benefits. It allows you all to leverage the experience of the private sector, but you also bring the best of what you have to the table in that arrangement as well. And the parties, through the contractual negotiations and the structure that we'll all come up with, again, with your input, will determine what your objectives are and how we should allocate the risk between those partners. What are the key benefits? There's some studies that are done that says, while the procurement, because it's open and transparent, may take a little bit longer, the delivery of the project typically happens in 2 years less. And the cost savings can range from 5%. We've had cost savings up to 66% using a P3 delivery model. So that's a huge benefit, and it also allows the monetization or the creation of a revenue stream that is not otherwise available to you, unlocking the value of some hard assets to really affect the financial solution that is in your best benefit and in the public's benefit, right? You don't have to raise taxes to do something of this magnitude. And then the last part is the life cycle savings, which can range, from up to 20% on average. So the life cycle being, how much does it cost to operate and maintain a structure that is constructed under this model? It tends to be 20% less on average because of the creativity and the alternative kind of technical concepts that are brought to bear.
Okay, what Ken said, and what we've all kind of looked at is under the Texas model, and Elsie mentioned it earlier. The statute that was enacted in Texas is not a new statute, and then by no means is this concept new to this board. But what's most important about this is that it is still a public process, and it is still very open. It's still very transparent. The public is engaged. There are public hearings, and it's still subject to the Texas Open Records Act. So one of the things that, one of the misnomers that happens is when people hear private, they think that a lot of this is done out of the way of the public and that the public doesn't get the opportunity to see what's going on. But the statute is very similar to your own policy internally, and it will allow you to accelerate the process, as we said before. It's an accelerated delivery model, but it allows government to be nimble where it is not otherwise nimble. And I think that when you just had a bond election here, I guess late last year, and I would imagine that not any of those schools have been built yet. I'm not saying that you can build a building in that short amount of time, but it allows you to have the process of your administrative facilities moving while you concentrate on schools and while you concentrate on the core mission of the district.
And most of the people here will tell you this, the Texas approach is very similar to Georgia, Florida, and a lot of the other places. So it really follows best practices in the procurement and delivery.
Okay, I will quickly talk a little bit more about the real estate process. So George touched on the overview of what we would be doing with the properties, but just in a little bit more detail. The scope of work proposes that we will take a review of the existing portfolio of real estate assets. We'll look at 12 potential properties in detail in terms of doing a site visits, doing a highest and best use analysis, and basically trying to come up with, are there sources of funding revenue that could come from using underutilized properties in some other innovative way, whether it's leasing, selling, swapping, as Dr. Scribner described. And so we'll come up with that, and that'll be part of our strategic real estate plan that we'll put together for you, and then you can review that and decide whether or not there's something there that you could act on and whether you want to do that. And so that's really the first step of this process. As part of that, we'll also review sites to see if there's potentially a good site for a new administrative facility among the sites that you currently own today.
And then after we conclude on that portion and decide on what we're going to use and how to potentially move forward, then we will really take a look at the hard financing of the actual AFP as we're referring to it. And in that consideration, looking at the real estate assets, the goal of the financing, first and foremost, is to try to arrive at the lowest cost of capital. That's extremely important, and that's of utter importance throughout this entire process. The financing will have no impact on your existing debt capacity. We are, as we mentioned previously, looking at alternative ways to fund this new administration building. And the alignment of interest with the private sector and a transfer of risk, transferring away as much risk as possible from the district to the private sector that's better equipped for that.
Okay, and then finally, how do we get from here to there? So again, multi-step process. This is very first step, which is just assessing what you have and what you can do with it. Then you could analyze what you may actually want to act upon, as I mentioned. If you decide that you want to look into doing some sort of P3 for a new facility, then we can help structure that process and then bring that to the board for approval to actually proceed with the P3 project for the new facilities, which would then kick off the procurement process for a P3 project.
All right, with that, that concludes the presentation for this evening, and we're prepared to take questions.
Trustee Robbins.
Thank you, President Jackson, and I'm intrigued with efficiencies. I think we can gain a lot of efficiencies through our operations. I think there's certainly a big possibility with what you all are proposing. So thank you for that. And I assume that the real estate assets will be not only vacant properties, but also properties that are being used that maybe could be better used in another way. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay,
yes.
good. And I'm still trying to get my head around how does this process save us? You mentioned a 20%.
Yeah, the studies show that through you all working on the specifications for a particular facility, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like, would you put asphalt in your driveway versus concrete?
Okay.
Concrete might cost more.
Okay.
But it's got a longer life and less maintenance.
Gotcha.
And so those concepts are brought to bear in how you design and then in construct your facility. And so the view with this model is you don't have to go the low-cost bidder, best value proposer.
Right.
Of the 18 factors you would look at, one of them is life cycle cost savings. So critical eye to operating and maintenance costs, which over time, as you know, really
Right.
increase
Right.
and can saddle a budget.
Thank you.
Very welcome.
Thank you, Trustee Robbins. Trustee Dr. Ann Sutherland.
I have several questions and comments. Of course, my major concern is the fact that we did not meet our educational goals last year. I think this is clearly the most important thing, and it pains me to think that we are spending time on building a fancy new building downtown when our students are not up to our goals in student performance. Secondly, I'd like to point out that we have already a lot of extra space. I'm not saying that we shouldn't sell the buildings and we shouldn't use our property, but it bothers me that the leadership in this district is spending very precious time on this project when in fact we are crying for help in our schools. The last time I looked, we had 250 teachers who were staffed above the district staffing ratios. That's a lot. It's only in high school. We have some very, very serious behavior problems that are not being addressed. I'd like to point out to you the old saw about Nero fiddling while Rome burned. And there are a lot of people in the town today who think that we are fiddling while this district is burning. I suggest we need to put this away and start facing the music about our students. And at a minimum, I would like very much to have this put up for a vote. I would like to see the trustees support this or put it down, because I do not support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sutherland. Trustee Needham.
Thank you, President Jackson. Thanks to each of you for coming this evening. Contrary to Dr. Sutherland, I believe we can do this in tandem with, as a couple of you said, our core mission is to teach, and you all can handle the project. I think it's one of the most exciting things I've seen happen in my 25 long years here, and you said you could do them faster. So I have to go off in May, and I just wondered if you could just get that building built by May, but that's just a little, anyway. I know from, talked to Ms. Shiro several times, and we're the first school district in Texas to do a P3, I believe, and we want to do it right. And I know we have the best firms, and I fully support it, and I'm ready to get going. So, thanks again. We look forward to working with each of you, and thank you for wanting to help us.
Thank you, Trustee Needham. Thank you all for a great presentation. Thanks for coming into town and presenting tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Move to number 5, Lone Star Governance, beginning of the year progress monitoring. Dr. Scribner?
Yes, thank you very much, President Jackson. Tonight we will make our Lone Star Governance student outcomes presentation that will address the NWEA MAP growth update, and our Associate Superintendent in this area, Sarah Arispe, will make that presentation, and they're getting settled. Looks like we're going to get started in just a moment. Sarah.
Good evening, Dr. Scribner, President Jackson, and board. We're here tonight to give you an update on NWEA MAP growth. MAP is a progress monitoring tool that the board approved. We implemented last year in November of 2017 in grades 1 through 8 and Algebra 1. This tool allows us, through assessing students in 3 times a year, fall, winter, and end of the year, to track progress during the year rather than waiting to the end to find out how students are doing. Along with MAP growth, there is a companion piece called MAP skills. MAP skills is used by the teacher. They take the information they get about a student off of the MAP growth assessment, and using that, they identify where students may need extra support, and MAP skills gives them a resource, a library, if you will, of paper, pencil, and online resources that they can use to work with students, either individually or in small groups based on their needs. This slide shows you our initial year data in comparison with the national. So Fort Worth ISD is the green line and the national is the blue line. A couple of key things I want to point out when we're making this comparison. It's always nice to have a context to compare the district to something else, but there are 2 key things I'd like you to remember. One, these national data represent national data from September to May of last year. Due to our late fall implementation, that's 8 months for the national, time for students to grow. We implemented in late November, so ours is 6 months of growth, so a little less time for our students to show growth. The other piece of context I wanted to give is the difference between Fort Worth ISD and some of the districts included in the national data. It includes both urban districts, suburban, rural, and small towns. One of the things that we look at carefully is the poverty level of our students and our families and how that may impact some of the opportunities they come with. For the national average, 52% of students are considered at or below poverty level. In Texas, the average is 59%, and for Fort Worth ISD, with our new online registration tool, we this year have a better idea about our number of students and families living at or below poverty level. It's currently 85%. So there's a large difference there in who's participating. And just as a frame of reference, I looked it up today because I always wonder this, what constitutes poverty level? So for 2018, it is for a family of four, $25,100 or less. So I just wanted to give you that context. One thing that we were excited to see how well our first graders did in growth. They made the largest growth of any group. This is great information for us at those primary levels where we don't have state testing to provide data about how students are performing and how they continue to grow. So those primary grades are critical for literacy, as we know, but also in mathematics. The other celebration we had is if you'll look at grade 9, our board goal too, which I'm telling you your goal that you know, is to work on algebra and students finishing algebra successfully by grade 9. Grade 9 outpaced the national average, even given those things I asked you to consider. So we know what we measure, we need to measure what matters, and we pay attention to those things. We do see that we want to continue that focus on middle grades math, and this will help us do that, watching growth not only to the end of the year like these data, but this year we'll measure the true beginning of the year to middle of the year and look for progress. How are our students doing on the proficiency, meeting or exceeding standard? This shows that based on the last year's data, we had for all grade levels, so this again includes first grade through 8 and Algebra 1, 31% projected proficient and 22% college ready. So that means meeting their grade level standards or exceeding. And these do align with what we've seen on the state data, although they include those lower grade data. All of those, both map growth, showing the growth, and the achievement are aligned to our board goals, not just your board goal 2, but also to your goal progress measures, 2.1, which looks at grades 6 through 8. They're performing on level, and 2.2, which looks at them meeting or exceeding their progress expectations for our students. We also are excited to look at how different students perform on both achievement and growth, and we know that this aligns to our state assessment and also our state accountability system, which looks at growth and achievement. So we will be looking this year with a full year implementation at how high achieving students do. They come to us high performing. Do we continue to grow them and get high growth for those students? Students who come behind or come with a lower achievement level, are we getting high growth for them so that they can achieve and meet those expectations? We also look and will be doing some targeted intervention for schools where students come already high performing, but we don't get as much growth as we might from those students. And then finally, the group that we're greatly concerned about, if we have anyone that has low achievement coming in but does not make the growth we need. So we're going to be looking at all kinds of students and the schools to see where they need additional supports. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Pena, and he's going to talk about some of those supports from school leadership and curriculum and instruction perspective.
Good evening, Board and Dr. Scribner. Well, as we observe some of those positive observations in the classrooms through various walkthroughs and observations from the executive directors, we observe more lessons being focused on the mathematical standards, a strengthened alignment in the classroom in the delivery of lessons, also leading to an increased student engagement, students being able to talk about the math, being able to talk about the skills and the concepts. And with a focus on our professional learning communities, we're seeing better use of data from the teachers and the administrators at the schools to drive their instruction. So we're seeing a better use of data to plan that instruction on a daily basis. Also, additionally, the district has provided from last spring and this summer various professional learning for teachers on co-training of the gen ed classroom teacher with the special ed and bilingual and ESL teachers to deliver more powerful instruction through district waiver days and other professional learning days. And so that leads us with what's next? What are some of those areas of opportunity that we see and observe through our schools? And so as we think historically, we've seen areas where we've watered down curriculum sometimes to meet students at their need. So an area of opportunity would be for us to continue to find ways to push student thinking in the classroom. How can we continue to push them, whether it's through higher order questioning, application of problem solving? So that's an area of opportunity for us. A second area of opportunity, very much similar to that of students, is how can we continue to push our teachers' thinking in supporting them to implement better MAP strategies. So as we think about that, we think about individualizing more professional learning and differentiating the support we provide for our teachers. So as we continue to work with our curriculum and instruction department, I think that's a big area of opportunity we can continue to focus on. I'm going to pass it on to Dr. Washington to talk about secondary.
Good evening, Board. As Mr. Rispace shared, students who utilize MAP experience gains of about 4.9. They perform well on our STAR measures for growth. Our middle schools benefit from individualized attention from the MAP process. They grow in areas students in math skills such as addition, such as multiplication, dividing, and even solving orders of operations. And much like our students, our campuses have unique needs as well. Therefore, curriculum and instruction and secondary leadership have engaged in growth walks in conjunction with the principals, and we have also included our special education departments, our bilingual departments, and our core content teachers to work and walk so that we are aligned in the instructional supports that we're providing. We use these walks to develop action plans that are specific to each campus need, and with all of our middle schools receiving their training and best practices, every action plan is uniquely designed to fit the needs of every campus. We do have specifically identified Tier 3 campuses, which are those that we have determined need specific and more intense instruction and support. Those campuses have been provided best practices that align with tester standards, so the activities that our students engage in are aligned to those that are tested. They are also engaged in best practices that utilize formative assessments so that teachers and students are assessing along the way, and we're able to address misconceptions in real time. And also following up with small group instruction, best practices where teachers can pull small groups of students so that they can help them and ensure that they learn and are not left behind, and they learn in real time. So these best practices will allow us to engage our areas of opportunity, which is focused on progress monitoring growth for our students, as well as providing specific intentional instruction for campuses. With that, that ends our presentation, and we will entertain questions.
And I'd like to acknowledge that Stacy Parker, our elementary director of mathematics, is with the team tonight. Mr. Carroll is away on district business, and so Stacy is our math expert joining us tonight if you give us a tough math question.
Hey, Stacy, thanks for being here. Dr. T.A. Sims.
I wish I had a math question.
It's that pharmacy math.
I'm just happy to say that I'm pleased that you all are doing this, because in the past we've had students making progress and then we don't follow up with a plan that keeps them on target. But I'd just like to say thank you for the information tonight.
Just one quick question. Areas of opportunity, I love it that you guys are doing that. Could you show us how you're going to monitor that and how you'll modify it if those are no longer areas of opportunity or if you surpass them through the year? How often are you checking in on areas of opportunity? Because it's hugely important.
So for middle schools, we have opportunities to progress monitor during the classroom. That's what the formative assessments are. So it's not just testing assessments, but they do actions like whip around so they can ensure that every kid is learning. They do things like an exit ticket to ensure that they learn the concept of the day. And if they haven't, then they reteach immediately. They're built in the curriculum are maybe five question assessments where kids and teachers can see if they're progress monitoring on specific TEKs that were taught that week. And then we have our unit assessments every 6 weeks where we're able to see if kids are progressing. We spiral back in those TEKs as well to see if every time that kid sees that TEK, if they're continuing to grow or if we need to reteach it.
Cool.
Just to add to that, I'm trying to turn this on. I think just to add to that, I think about three buckets. I think the first one would be teacher feedback. So as we provide professional learning, every professional learning opportunity provides survey data at the end to provide feedback on how we can get better and present better professional activities. Number two would be observations from the executive directors and principals of classroom instruction. So alongside with our curriculum and instruction department, we can work together to make sure that we're calibrated on observing those best practices. And thirdly, it would be the student achievement data. Are we moving in the right direction? And that would be another measure to see if we're moving that needle. So-
Great. Thank you all so much.
I have a question.
Dr. Sutherland?
I just want to acknowledge that there's been really important growth in the algebra and in the math. I think it's important to point that out. On the other hand, it would be much better if we did spring to spring comparisons rather than fall to spring. As you know, that misses the whole summer loss, which is what's so crippling to our kids. I don't know how you do that. I don't know if you can use the NAEP as a comparative tool or not, I don't know. But that's a really reliable measure, and you could get the kind of meaningful that you can't get with fall to spring. Thank you. And I do appreciate it. I think it's important to give you credit for what you've done, and it's been a huge jump in the algebra this last couple of years.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much. At this time, we will hear public comment. Let me remind you that because of restrictions by the Texas Open Meetings Act, board members may not engage in a verbal exchange about a subject that has not been posted. We will listen and take notes, but the board is prohibited from responding to any inquiries made during a board meeting on any topic not posted on this agenda this evening. However, the board may reply with 1, a statement of specific factual information given in response to the inquiry, 2, recitation of existing policy in response to the inquiry, or 3, direct the person to visit with a staff member who's present tonight about the issue. While the board listens to concerns of a general nature and issues of common and individual concern, the board will not hear complaints about specific individual employees or public officers during the public comment session. Speakers, please refrain from mentioning names of individual employees or public officers during your comments. Any employee, parent, or other member of the public is asked to comply with the appropriate grievance policy to have a complaint heard pursuant to the applicable board policy. In accordance with Board Policy BED Local, speakers have a 3-minute time limit. Ms. Craddock and Ms. Shelton, you're our only 2 speakers tonight. You can both come forward if you would, please. Ms. Craddock, you would be first. Welcome.
Good evening, President Jackson. Can you hear me? Dr. Scribner and the trustees, I am Danya Craddock, and I thank you for this opportunity to make a public comment. My purpose here today is, as a Trimble Tech parent, I have been deeply concerned with the election that happened for homecoming court. We're in football season, and I'm looking at this as an area of opportunity, to use some of the words today, that we can really examine how we do the homecoming king and queen court. As you know, they elected a female as a homecoming king, and from the student body, it was a mockery, it was a joke. And so how do we really work together to understand that something that is so sensitive and tied to tradition cannot be looked at as a mockery and a joke? And to add insult to injury, Trimble Tech is a school that went up to 6A. And so you have these young men that challenge in trying to build themselves up in this district. They're playing sports, so they were distracted. And so they didn't get the opportunity to be involved in the homecoming court. And so I just want to know, when can we just stop and really examine some of the decisions that we make? Because to add insult to injury to these young men who were dealing with moving into a higher division, and then having their rivalry team laugh because we have, as a group, we haven't really examined the policy. Everything now, we have to look at all the policies now. We have to revisit everything now. It might not be homecoming king and queen court. It might be homecoming royalty. Why limit the little girl, the young lady, into a box of becoming a king when she could be higher than that? This occurred October 12th, the day of the girl. This is royalty. Why put her in that box? We could have found creative measures to say, hey, let's really examine what we're doing instead of saying, oh, yes, okay, go ahead and do it because we don't want any other challenges to come our way. When they went to legal, they could have easily came to the parents and say, how can we work together? Because we understood that this was a joke. And these are the same people that we're about to inject into society to be voters. We had to really, really teach them the process. We had to share with them the process. I remember when my son was concerned about going for student council, and he said it was going to be a joke, people was going to laugh at me. But no, we took those young men and said, this is how you guys can work together. And they were happy to become campaign managers. They were happy to work together. And we could have took that same method to say, hey, what are your alternatives? Can we change a homecoming court? Can we look at something different? This is your opportunity. This is your event. Let's engage. Excuse me? Of my time?
Thank you, Ms. Craddock.
Thank you.
Ms. Shelton?
Dr. Scribner and Board, thank you for the opportunity to make a public comment. I'm a taxpayer. I'm also an educator, master's in education. So I say that because what I'm about to say is not just, oh my goodness. I really listened last board meeting, and I was concerned that there was concern about when we were talking about the enrollment lessening and where we're going to get the money and so forth and so on and so on. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, all of you have ears. I hear you respond to each other. You heard the solution, so I'm going to bring it forward to you. And one comment that was made that I thought was excellent was we ought to bring in the public and find out why they're not choosing Fort Worth ISD schools by choice. Why are they choosing charters and private schools and hope schools? I love that option. But the thing is, if they come in, you need to listen. Here's the part I want you to really hear. Please hear me. Fort Worth ISD. I'm a graduate of Paschal High School. I started my teaching career in Fort Worth ISD, but didn't choose to stay for these same reasons. You have to be for education. That means the two qualities parents look for, student-teacher ratio, and our kids reading on level at third grade. We have problems both those places. Now, the time you spend in other things is fine, I'm not saying, but education first. It's embarrassing to be an educator and say I'm in the Fort Worth ISD district. And I have colleagues who won't work here either. And that's embarrassing. I'll help. I'll do whatever I can to get our focus back where it needs to be. We're here to educate children. And I don't care how pretty the building is. I don't care how many buildings are sold or not sold. That's not the first issue. Those are issues, but that's not the first issue. Please get back to focusing on. I heard that the third grade reading level, and you heard it last board meeting. This woman was up here in tears saying she had 2 children who had now gone through third grade and don't read on level, third grade level. Well, that is upsetting. You hear a man who's been here twice and given you student-teacher ratios that are obscene. They're obscene. I'm sorry, they're obscene. You can't keep good teachers with those kind of student-teacher ratios. Parents look at those kinds of things. And yeah, there's a lot of building. And yeah, there's a lot of people moving in. But if we're going to be the district of choice, we got to make decisions on the right things. And I'm just here saying you're spending my money the wrong way, in my humble opinion. So I thank you for the opportunity to tell you my humble opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now recess and reconvene in the board conference room. guys ready? In accordance with the open meetings law, the board opened the meeting at 5:33 PM in the boardroom with a quorum present, recessed open session in the boardroom, and is now reconvened at 6:58 PM in open session in the board conference room with a quorum present. As board president, I'm making the following statement in accordance with board policy BBFA local. This is a reminder to each board member of the legal conflict of interest requirements and disclosure requirements you may have for matters under consideration on this agenda for this meeting. If required by law, board members shall recuse themselves from any and all discussion and shall abstain from voting on any matter pertaining to such a disclosure. Are there any questions concerning tonight's consent agenda? Trustee Robbins.
Yeah, this is a nit, but on item 9G, I'd like the minutes to be amended to show that I was in attendance. I made a special trip to thank those fine folks for 4 years of what at the beginning was awful service and turned out to be very, very wonderful in our 2013 bond program. But they worked very hard, and I was there to thank them and appreciate them. And so please show my name as attending as a guest. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. I have one 9B2, approve interlocal agreement between the City of Fort Worth and Fort Worth ISD for after-school services for the 2018-19 school year on page 22. Can staff address this? There's a discrepancy in the amount of money. The body of the contract is $1.3 million and the front page is a lesser amount.
Can you point that out for us, please?
Page 23, $1.169, $823, and it's $1.3 million in the body of the interlocal agreement, which is on page 29. And then again stated towards the end.
The 1.3 is correct. It shouldn't have been the other amount that was reflected on the consent agenda item. I'm not sure if that was a communication error or formatting issue, but it should be $1.3 million.
Okay, so if we have $1.3 million, you're happy, Mr. Garcia?
I am happy. The
Dr.
city's
Washington?
happy.
Yes, yes.
The city's happy.
Yes, and the city is happy, which is even better. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions? This concludes our discussion of consent agenda items.
I thank all of you for joining us here today. We're very excited that this school's pre-kindergarten, first grade, and second grade classrooms all will be stocked with books as we begin classes next Monday. And we thank Read Fort Worth, TXU Energy, and all of the generous donors for making that happen.
What can be more critical than nurturing a love of reading in grade school students and to help them read by grade level and to lift these students and also to inspire them to higher levels of achievement, and it sounds like they're on their way.
I like to read because it makes you more competitive.
This campaign really is about engaging the community in this. We want every child to have access to quality books.
I like handing to my friends, and we can each have a book and we can read them.
Our goal is to raise enough money to cover about 40 schools, and we're on a roll, and you guys are great supporters in making it possible.
I miss alegría, he said to himself.
Watching a child read and grow inside of a book is very exciting and fun to watch and learn.
We want to make sure that our kids are reading at a high level, they love to read, then what happens is limitless.
Coming into this training, we had teachers in Austin for 2 weeks, and they were working with professors from UT to make certain that what they were delivering in the classroom was going to be up to the level of college rigor. The goal of on-ramps is really dual enrollment for students in an on-ramp fashion.
So today we're going to go over expiration 2.3.2.
Looking at getting students the experience of college while they're actually in a high school classroom.
It's different from high school. Just work every day, get to live life as a college student actually.
And then we found out our vertex, which was 2,1.
My job in this is to present what we're trying to accomplish and then for them to discover and find those answers amongst themselves.
It's a different environment. It shows you the rigors of college, and so I think that's an amazing experience.
We are in on-ramps class. That means that we are in a college level class.
And really the other idea behind on-ramps is changing teacher practice.
If we look at our data for round 2,
where student-led inquiry.
You're making a quarter of the course already.
And the teacher is there to facilitate the content to make certain that students are learning all along the way and supporting them, but really it's changing teacher practice while offering dual enrollment to our students.
I'm very interested in getting ahead and getting college ready without having to spend so much money in college.
They definitely have to have a different level of commitment. They're going home with about an hour of homework every night, and especially those students of ours that are in multiple on-ramps classes, they definitely have a huge time commitment.
As you're reading through these essays, make sure you're looking for them to mention both Virginia and Massachusetts.
And I'm in this class because I decided I wanted to try something new, because normally I do like AP classes, but they offered me the on-ramps class, and I was like, okay, that's new, I've never tried it. And so when I got to know, oh, it's a college class.
Today we're looking at how force, mass, and acceleration affect each other. So we're going to look at Newton's second law of dynamics.
Well, the interesting part is we actually go very in depth about physics, and understanding what those equations actually mean in the context of real life.
I think they do have a blast, but sure, I mean, it pushes you to your limit, find out what you're made of, and then you get the chance to grow.
I'm enjoying it because I feel that it will help me in the long term.
So if y'all want to open your binders to page 56, I would say this is a great head start. This gives them the college experience while they're still in high school.
We have a very rich culture here in the north side with the background of, specifically Mexican heritage. We want to celebrate it in a way that is memorable, in a way that is impactful for the community. The people on the mural are high school students from Northside High School. They're mariachi program students, Escuelas de Plata.
We're really appreciative of Arnoldo because he could have chosen anything to paint on this mural. And so now we're here on Mexican Independence Day having the neighborhood and the community come out to celebrate and really recognize the efforts that the mariachi's done at Northside.
It's really amazing to think at such a young age, you know, all these people are going to be passing by, and I'm sure it'll be part of something really memorable.
Yeah, I hope that they look at this image of cultural vibrancy that represents them and it strikes a chord. And I want people to be proud and say, yes, this is what I bring to the table, and this is what my culture brings to the table. We are relevant, we're important, and we're being acknowledged, and we're being represented through the arts.
Fort Worth ISD is promoting college readiness in an even bigger way this year. We are competing in the FAFSA Race to Submit. Beginning October 15th, every student who is planning to go to college or even thinking about going to college will want to be sure to fill out a FAFSA form. FAFSA stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. It's the document that determines a student's eligibility for federal financial aid for college, which may include grants, scholarships, work study, and loans. But it's not just about financial need.
And those opportunities for you as a student are quite remarkable.
Completing the FAFSA should be top priority for every college-going student. You can't receive any college or university-sponsored scholarship money if you don't.
What they're going to do is take the best scores of each section.
And that's where the FAFSA Race to Submit comes in. Every Fort Worth ISD student who completes the process will receive a specially designed t-shirt. Individual schools will award all kinds of other prizes. The campuses with the highest percentage of increase in FAFSA completions each month from now until April will receive a recognition banner for their school. Your high school college coaches are available on your campus to help you complete the FAFSA, and will provide financial aid help sessions during the months of October and November. Let the race to submit begin.
Want a high school experience that moves you?
How does your character move?
Explore the I Am Terrell Academy for STEM and VPA.
This down arrow brings this forward.
On the STEM side, students innovate, design, and problem solve in a high-tech makerspace. Coursework includes advanced levels of math and science in preparation for college and careers in engineering and computer science. Opportunities to earn college hours, field trips, and community partnerships elevate the experience.
Ready and go.
VPA students blend academics with intensive training in the arts, in state-of-the-art studios, practice rooms, a black box theater, and an amazing performance hall.
Ready and go.
Support from the local arts community provides unique opportunities as students prepare for college scholarship auditions and artistic careers.
And then take the art to the next level.
Students also participate in the Cowan Humanities Academy,
In what way is he repeating it? Because
a college prep level study that transforms English, social studies, and Latin classes.
start realizing how you use your body.
The I Am Terrell Academy for STEM and VPA, shaping innovators, artists, and lifelong learners.
So you're designing your 3D hand over here.
Learn more at fwisd.org/choice or call 817-814-2580. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all our social media.
If you're drawn to the arts, visual, or performing,
First, ready, and plie.
let your talent take stage in a Fort Worth ISD Fine Arts program of choice.
Take the photo. We want to edit it.
Pursue your passion for photography at JP Elder. Learn how to take control of your camera just like the pros. Also brush up on drawing, painting, and other forms of artistic expression. Choose an instrument and join the band at Wedgwood 6th and Wedgwood Middle. Perform with award-winning ensembles and exceptional directors for a challenging and rewarding musical experience. Or grow academically and artistically at Monig.
That sounded awesome.
Where talent is nurtured in art, choir, orchestra, band, dance, and theater. Gain ability and confidence through performances and partnerships with arts organizations.
It's just a great class for everybody to express themselves.
Find your fine arts program at JP Elder Art, Monig VPA Prep Academy, Wedgwood 6, Fine Arts through Band, and Wedgwood Middle, Fine Arts through Band. Learn more at fwisd.org/choice or call 817-814-2580. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all our social media. Fascinated by aircraft or cars?
Got good tension, so it's just as good.
An automotive and aviation Gold Seal program of choice will give you a jump on a career that will take you places. You'll get real working knowledge of automotive components and systems while discovering the variety of jobs in this growing industry. Earn college credits and graduate prepared for certification and an entry-level automotive job.
What type of landing gear is it?
For aircraft lovers, it's an opportunity like no other. Imagine exploring aviation, aerospace, and flight technology inside a real hangar. You'll learn about big engine repairs, principles of flight, and drone engineering to prepare for the high-paying, high-flying aviation industry.
You want to make sure this is secure.
Find your path in an automotive and aviation program of choice at Dunbar High Aviation and Drone Engineering or Polytechnic Automotive Technology Experience.
You may need to blow it out.
Learn more at fwisd.org/choice or call 817-814-2580. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all our social media.
Step into a Gold Seal 6th through 12th school of choice and you know you're somewhere special.
We're going to analyze the data from the graphs.
Learn 2 or more languages and explore global cultures at the World Languages Institute, or WLI. It's the perfect next step for students from Spanish immersion and dual language enrichment programs, as well as other students eager to learn Spanish immersion style. Prepare for future careers with an international focus today at WLI.
If you kind of hold it up to the light, you can see what all's on the plate easier.
For college-bound girls with ambitious career goals, consider the Young Women's Leadership Academy in vibrant downtown Fort Worth.
The force pushing on it this way.
Rigorous coursework focuses on science, technology, engineering, art, and math.
You're going to see what all you can identify.
The single-gender school equips students for success in college, career, and leadership roles.
Good morning.
Future leaders are everywhere at the Young Men's Leadership Academy.
The material is moving there.
There's also an abundance of hands-on learning, accountability, and brotherhood.
We are brothers keepers.
This all-male college prep school emphasizes STEM skills, but also nurtures the whole student, equipping young men with life strategies for success.
It is a school full of opportunities.
Choose the 6th through 12th school of choice that fits you best at World Languages Institute, Young Men's Leadership Academy, or Young Women's Leadership Academy.
I am destined for success in everything I do.
Learn more at fwisd.org/choice or call 817-814-2580. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all our social media.
Early college high schools put you in the academic fast lane, merging high school and college.
All 3 are on there.
Earn up to 60 hours of college credit free and graduate high school with an associate degree. That can save you thousands of dollars in college costs.
Maybe it's about to replicate. All right.
Early college high schools also offer support services, making them a perfect fit for first-generation college goers. Housed on the beautiful TCC Northwest campus, Marine Creek Collegiate High School focuses on academic achievement and equipping scholars with high-level college readiness skills. TCC South is a P-TECH early college high school. P-TECH stands for Pathways and Technology Program. It adds work-based learning to early college and connects students with industry partners. The Texas Academy of Biomedical Sciences, or TABS, is located downtown on the Tarrant County College Trinity River campus. TABS offers a world of health science studies and exceptional hands-on medical and laboratory learning.
The brain is the control system of the body.
Select from these Fort Worth ISD early college high schools: Marine Creek Collegiate High, TCC South Fort Worth ISD Collegiate High, and the Texas Academy of Biomedical Sciences, or TABS.
I noticed that some people might be left brain or right brain.
Learn more at fwisd.org/choice or call 817-814-2580. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all our social media.
In accordance with the open meetings law, the board opened the meeting at 5:33 p.m. in the boardroom with quorum present, recessed and reconvened open session in the board conference room, adjourned regular session, convened executive session, adjourned executive session, and now reconvened open session at 7:21 p.m. in this boardroom with a quorum present. Do I have a motion accepting our consent agenda items for this evening?
Well, we're being prevented from moving. Motion to adjourn. No, guys, we don't want to adjourn.
The computer is not working. Would you like to go ahead and move by hand? Would that work?
I move that we accept it.
Moved by Trustee Sutherland, seconded by Trustee Sims. Any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, please move to voting by raising your hand.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And consent agenda passes 5-0. May we move to action items, Ms. Fay? Okay. Well, the computer catches up with the humans, which is a first.
There it is. Maybe Judy wants to add. Is it too, no, the vote's been announced.
So are we going to do?
Moving on, 15, action agenda items. 15D, approve the 2018-19 Campus Educational Improvement Plans, otherwise known as CEIPs. Do I have a motion? Moved by Dr. Sutherland, seconded by Dr. Sims. Any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, please move to voting by raising your hands. Oh, it's working now. No need to exercise. Please move to voting on your screens. Thank you. We have 4 yays.
Wait, what happened?
I need 2 more votes, please.
I guess I didn't vote.
I think I did not have trustees Sutherland and Needham. Shall I take their votes by hand, council? Okay, let's all vote again, all together, please. Okay, let me get one more hand, Sims. Okay, we got it. Unanimous, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sutherland. Ms. Needham, you're making it fun tonight. And I'll try harder to exercise my arms, Ms. Needham. 15E, authorization for superintendent or designee to negotiate and enter into contracts for public-private partnership, P3, professional services, and to approve resolution to reimburse the general fund for P3 expenditures incurred from the proceeds obtained through the financing of qualified projects. Do I have a motion? Trustee Needham, seconded. Trustee Robbins. Comments? Dr. Sutherland.
I have a question. I can't find any money in here. It seems very unlikely to me that this is not going to cost over $50,000.
There is the cost on page 124, if I have the most current board book.
Okay, 575 and 350, 925, almost $1 million. There's no declaration that this is a top priority. I want to vote, I plan to vote against. Thank you.
Trustee Needham.
Yes, we will be paying for these services, but the money will come from the revenue generated by the sale of buildings or leasing of buildings for joint ventures. So it's not going to cost us anything. Dr. Sutherland, I really feel it's incumbent on us to maximize the value of the land we have, either put it on the tax rolls. If we're not using it to teach students and we don't need it, we can sell it and have a revenue stream that we've never had before, or we can joint venture on some projects and have that stream of income. So I think we're doing what the taxpayers would want us to do.
Thank you,
We're not
Trustee.
using any of the only ELSI, which I know
I have further
is too
comment.
much. Okay, thank you.
Trustee Needham. Trustee Sutherland.
I would like to point out that we have seen no pro forma of the cost and benefit of this program. We see that we're going to throw $1 million into it, but it's just pie. I don't want to say it's pie in the sky, okay? Because I don't know if it's pie in the sky, but there is no, at the present time, the board has not been shown evidence that this is a money-making thing for me, for us, okay? And I do not think that we have adequate staff support for the changes that need to be made in our curriculum and in our classroom. Actually, I think the curriculum is pretty good. But we've got very serious problems with student behavior, and there's not even a beginning of an effort to deal with it yet. So I tend to vote no on this, and I appreciate the extra time.
Thank you, Dr. Sutherland. Trustee Norman Robbins.
Thank you, President Jackson. I think the efficiencies that we could get from this whole thing will spin off revenue that we can put into the classroom to improve the student-teacher ratio and do many, many other things. So I look on this as a great potential profit center, and I'm excited about it. I hope we do a number of things to improve the efficiencies of the school district, because we're not going to get a whole lot of money from anybody else, and we need to pull ourselves up by the bootstraps and take care of ourselves the best way we can. And I think this will help do that. Will be a good start in doing that. So thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Robbins.
Just by way of clarification, this is a not-to-exceed amount, and I've calculated the cost over approximate 3-year period. There's nothing to say that we're going to go to past milestone 1, and so it's not as if we're going to be spending, automatically $925,000 on this project. It's a not-to-exceed. I've calculated a 3-year cost, and so we're going to play it by ear, and we'll be giving periodic updates of what the expenses actually are.
Thank you. Moving back to voting, 15E on the P3, moved by Trustee Needham, seconded by Trustee Robbins. Seeing no more discussion, please move to your screens to vote. 5 yeas, 1 nay. Moving to 15F, approve resolution recognizing Day of the Girl in Fort Worth ISD. Do I have a motion? Moved by Trustee Needham, seconded by Trustee Sutherland. We're going to be patient and vote on the screen.
Would you say don't do that?
Sure. Any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, we're going to move to voting on the screens. No exercise for this team. And the motion passes unanimously, recognizing Day of the Girl. At this time, we will move into the back to hear a Level 3 grievance. 15G, considering the level 3 grievance of Stephanie Ruiz. Trustee Needham, do you have a motion?
To uphold the administration's level 2 decision and leave sought by Mrs. Ruiz.
Moved by Trustee Needham, seconded by Trustee Norman Robbins. Seeing and hearing no discussion, please move to voting. And passes 5 yeas, 1 nay. 16, comments by board members or superintendent on current district activities and announcements. Seeing and hearing none, on that, we're adjourned. Yeah.